So we'll think about the bitter herbs for a moment. We're celebrating freedom, and we want to experience the feeling of freedom. That's why the Talmud says everything we do on this night has to be done with freedom. If you have beautiful dishes, gold or silver, you put it out on the table because we're supposed to experience freedom. When we drink the wine and we eat the matzah, we're supposed to recline because we're supposed to eat like free people. And in those days, the free people reclined when they ate. I'm thinking of reinstituting that custom. It's not too bad. But in any case, we're trying to experience freedom. We're trying to put all the props in place and create an ambiance of freedom. And then what do? We eat the bitter herbs. Why do we eat the bitter herbs? Because we think about the bitterness of the exile. Now, the problem is if we're trying to become free, if we're trying to escape the feeling of pain, we're trying to escape the trauma, why are we going back to eat the bitter herbs to sort of commemorate and experience the pain in order for us to, and isn't that a contradiction to the feeling of freedom? So there are various angles of explaining this. We'll start with one or two. And we say as follows. In Hebrew, there are really two words for sadness. One is atzvut, sadness. One is mirirut, which is closely, I guess if you want to translate that literally, it means bitterness. So we have sadness and we have bitterness. Now, regardless of what these words mean in English, let's think about what the Hebrew word, the Hebrew equivalent tries to convey. So what the Hebrew equivalent of these words is conveying is atzvut is sadness. But what type of sadness? Sadness where a person is depleted of energy. That's sadness. What is bitterness? Bitterness is a sense of I'm unhappy, I'm discontent, and I'm full of energy to go out and change and better my circumstances. In other words, is pain something good? Well, if the pain depletes me of energy, then it's negative. But if the pain becomes a motivator to move forward, if the pain becomes the drive to better my circumstances, then the pain is actually very good, right? All innovation happens when people are unsatisfied and unhappy with the circumstance. If I am somebody who I make peace with everything that happens to me. Everything is okay. Doesn't matter. Everything is fine. If everything is fine, then I'm not going to grow. I'm not going to innovate, and I'm not going to expand, because expansion and innovation means I'm not unsatisfied with what I have, and therefore I'm motivated to grow. So what the bitter herbs is telling us is that part of the package of freedom is not to make peace with what's enslaving us. And if there is something that is enslaving us, if there's an experience or a circumstance that makes us unhappy, we have to realize that this is painful, this is negative, this is unnatural, and the pain, we're not sort of dwelling in pain for the sake of pain, but we're dwelling in the pain in order to inspire us to make the change. And therefore, the word that we use is very important. It's not a word that evokes sadness, the maror, the bitter herbs. It's bitter. And again, bitter, as defined in the Hebrew terminology, we're talking about a sadness that does not deplete us of energy. To the contrary, this is a energy. This could be full of energy, right? If somebody's unhappy with their circumstances and goes out and creates a revolution, that is a tremendous amount of energy. It's not positive energy. It's energy that comes from a place of pain, but that pain is fuel. And what we want is energy. And that is the reason why we eat the bitter herbs, even though we're trying to experience freedom, because part and parcel of freedom is to reject making peace with what's enslaving me. I cannot accept it. I have to fight it. And that is the reason why we preserve and we eat the bitter herbs. So before I eat the bitter herbs this year, if I want to have this full meditation, then I ask myself, is there anything in my life that's holding me back? Does that thing upset me? And if it upsets me, what type of pain does it cause? there's a cause of pain that will deplete me of energy, then that's no good. I have to channel the pain to pain that will actually become fuel for future growth. So pain is good provided not provided, pain is good when it propels us forward and moves us to growth. And that's the message of the bitter herbs that we eat at the Passover Seder. So